Welcome to Community Cuts, live from Brooklyn, New York. Welcome to Community Cuts. What's up, Donnatella?
Hi, happy Sunday.
What's up, Rickie?
Peace and love, there, dude.
So we have Brooklyn in the house. Community Cuts. We have a host of things, a host of topics that we're going to talk about straight out of Brooklyn, New York.
This is wonderful.
Welcome, Donnatella. Let's have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm excited. You know, I had to go to YouTube. As you can see, we're in a new illustrious location. And guess what? You can see us both at the same time. Rickie, isn't that exciting?
That is very exciting. That's like having your cake and pie and eating it too. That's nice.
It is. And, you know, I want to just say for everyone who's watching that right now I am sipping some hot cinnamon spice tea. And this is not a sponsor. We believe in supporting small businesses in Brooklyn. And so today our founder, Duke, has purchased a little sweets before we started. So I had a heavenly huge slice of German chocolate cake, which I had not had in some time. Why just don't leave both of us in there like we were? That's great, right?
Yeah, that's
World,
great.
don't you want to see us at the same time? Oh my goodness. Fire the founder. I don't want all the pressure on me, although I look good on TV. But put us over a little bit more. Let's see. Oh, there you go. There you go. All right. I don't need them. See, if it's just me, they'll be focused on my midsection and see how fat I am. Now I gotta hold in my belly. This is great. So, like I was saying, we went to Little Cupcake Bake Shop. It's on Vanderbilt. I had a delicious piece of German chocolate cake. What did you have, Rickie?
I just had black coffee with a little sugar in it. So I was satisfied with that.
Oh, wonderful. And those of you who are out there, can we check to make sure our sound is on, Duke? I don't want to waste my words today on a Sunday. So as you know, we're in a different location. Today is a special day. It is not a hot Friday evening. So we did a sound check. The sound is on. This is Sunday after we have given our hearts to the Lord.
Yes.
And so did you go to church today?
Yes, I did. I attended service. I was a good little boy. I sat in my chair, my pew, and sang the hymns.
That is awesome. Awesome. And if I may be so bold to ask, what is one takeaway from your church service that you would like to share with myself and the world?
Advent is the season of Advent in church. If you attended,
yep,
the story of Jesus being born and Mary accepting the Lord's proposal, well, is his nature of what he's going to do to Mary and make her have a child without a husband connection. It's going to be given to her by the Lord.
Amen.
And Jesus, and they went to Galilee once she has accepted the Lord's issue, and they were born there in Galilee with Jesus, and he grew up in Galilee.
Awesome. So, you know, I don't know if you care, you know, you have to be careful when you're talking on social media, but I'm going to share that I have had more than enough. Although there isn't a limit, but I did a lot of worshiping today. So I began my day quite early with attending a remote Bible study course, which I do every Sunday now with my biological father, thanks to the pandemic. One of the positive things that came out, a lot of churches are online. Yep. And so my Bible study class which we don't use Zoom. We use a toll-free conference call center that you can call in. It's an 800 number. And it's really nice because I get to fellowship with the elders in a Baptist church straight out of Alabama. You can't get more southern than that. And then after
you were born in Alabama.
I was
There you go.
100 years ago. But I was born in Alabama in St. Vincent Hospital. Very proud of that. But then after church, I got dressed and it was still snowing. Right, New York? You went to bed last night, you woke up this morning, and there was snow on the ground. Right. So I fellowshipped with Pastor Louis Straker Jr. with Reflections Church. He's also the chair of the God Squad. And
God Squad in Brooklyn?
Yes.
I used to be a member of the God Squad. Yes, that's a long time ago, though.
Really?
Yeah, God Squad ID. Oh, we had a good time with that.
You know, their brick and mortar is on Church Avenue. You should get back involved, Rickie.
No, I'm not. I'm too. It involves too much.
Well, I think the great thing,
all that running around you got to do with the God Squad.
You don't have to.
It's a lot.
You don't have to. As a senior, as an elder, as a person who knows so much wealth and knowledge, I am sure Pastor Straker would let you come in at your convenience and uplift the young people.
Him. I know Daughtry and the other ministers that might have passed on by now. They were all up on the God Squad, and they had we had our Bibles right there in order to answer any kind of question. So we were checked.
Well, that's great, but I want to share something my pastor said today. You know, right, like you said, it's the third week, I believe he said, of Advent, and he talked about what was happening, you know, from the religious standpoint. But one of the things that he said in church toward the ends of his sermon is that we have to, end of the year, we have to shake off, you know, the negative people. Yeah, we're shaking it off. Shake off the negative people around us.
Off.
Yeah. You have to do that. Sometimes people need to come into the church. Next weekend is Christmas Sunday in our church, where you'll do your fellowshipping. And it's being smart enough and strong enough spiritually to recognize those individuals around you who are not for you.
Right.
You know, everybody at this point has some haters somewhere, right? So that was great. But what was really, really amazing to me is that the beginning of the church, we have a live band. And currently right now, Reflections Church is on Utica Avenue. I think it's like 1408 or 1708. It's Utica and Beverly. But they're in the process of building a new church home. And so today when I went to church, the church was opened by a 13-year-old young man. And when I tell you, first of all, this young man is extremely talented.
Got a lot to speak on with that 13-year-old. He could see 13-year-old in the church. Oh.
Yeah, and he so first of all, he sings very well as well. He's part of the youth choir. And I'll tell you more about my interaction with him yesterday. But in church today, it was Ugly Sweater Church. Shout out to Kayla. She had a beautiful sweater, which was an ugly sweater, and she won. They gave a $100 gift certificate.
Yeah, that's nice.
And as a youth, that is like having $1,000. Yep. But this young man, he opened the church with so much inspiration, and he really sounded like a pastor. I had tears come down my face. It was just amazing. I'm going to share that on my Instagram a little bit later.
Let's get to the topics.
Okay, so which topic would you like to talk about first?
Yeah, preservation and sustainability.
Thank you.
Issue of what it is and what are they doing to these old buildings or these buildings that are currently inside of Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
As a preservationist, you fight for these buildings. You don't leave them with just their deed of property. If you get them to be a landmark, that's good. But if you could sustain it, like putting a new type of boiler or a solar energy on your roof in order to catch the sunlight and run your heating system, with the solar energy, that is what we would do. That is sustaining your building, trying to keep it from deteriorating and going into a state of remorse and collapse. And then the city start taking things away from you.
I want to put it in layman's terms for people like me. So let's say there is a building of a certain age,
right?
A preservationist might be someone who looks to, one of the things you could do is, review this building and say, oh, you know what? This building has a historic value.
Right. Take the clock tower downtown Brooklyn on it.
Yes.
That's a historic place. That's an historic building. They're trying to build a building right next to it, shadowing the clock tower. How are you going to see the time?
A sky. So you're saying they want to bring a
high-rise skyscraper.
Before we talk about that, I just want to make sure a preservationist is a person who reviews a building, make sure it keeps up a certain standard. One of those things would be to sustain, maybe have it be a historical building, landmark. And then making it a landmark. But sustainability is then going back inside that building and making sure the things still work or
no, they run by themselves, or they are given the issue of how to keep it from deteriorating, the paint peeling and
got it.
And things like that, paint peeling and the floors buckling and the door being ajar a little bit where the air can come through. We could give you a test in order to see where where you're losing the most money from your building.
Okay, excellent. And then you mentioned something about solar panels. I am starting to see more. There's a lot of programs where they say New York City is giving free solar panels to homeowners. Right. Oh, excellent. And so how did you get started?
I went to school. I graduated with 3 honors and 3 scholarships and 5 different forms of money from the school that I attend to. I received an award which had a check towards it. Nice. I received a library issue which had a check to it. Mm-hmm. I received a degree which had a check to it. Wow. And then I received another award, which on top of the award I originally received, because of the fact that I was very good at a certain subject, I received an award with a check to it. And the check that I received, the last one, the check that I received for attending the school to begin with. So that was on the middle of Manhattan on 44th Street and between 5th and 6th Avenue. I did do that work. And the Mrs. Brewer, Gail Brewer, she attended that graduation ceremony where I received these awards in preservation, historic preservation. And she was very proud of the fact that I received it. And she knows who my family is and who is in my family. And she said, well, that's very proud for her to see that. And
who is Gail Brewer?
The borough president.
Oh, at the time.
At the time.
Okay. So that was just a tad bit before probably I came to New York. So that is awesome. So those of you who are interested in following the same path that our illustrious Rickie James has followed, make sure you leave comments under our YouTube.
Do contact me for any preservational work. I am a big group of preservationalists. They do have the Landmark Conservancy, the Historic District Council, the Village Conservancy, the Village Preservationalists. There's a large group
showing off, y'all.
Architects, engineers, and under that belt, the architects, engineers, designers, and the historic individuals, the historians, go to a preservationalist, and they back up what it is that they're contacted by or for. Like if you want your building saved, you send them out to your building and make sure that it is saved.
So to be clear, ladies, I know those were a lot of financial awards that Rickie mentioned, and I'm always making jokes about how eligible of a bachelor Mr. James is. Please do not contact him for any side hustle stuff. Only if you're looking for, ladies and gentlemen, some professional expertise. And I feel like if there are any principals listening in local high schools, and you're looking for, I remember when I was a kid, there was like Bring Your Dad Today or Professional Day.
Yep.
I think you could have a revenue stream, Rickie, of going out
I'm
and
too
teaching the
old for
kids.
that. I'm too old. I did that for so long in the early 2000s, going
but there are new
to
kids
people's
today.
lectures and people's issues,
Y'all.
the teenagers and their issues about what they accomplished and what and then
No, but I'm saying something.
And my opinion on it. So
I'm saying something different. I'm saying with social media and just the world advancing, a lot of our youth is losing the benefit of gaining wisdom from our elders in our community.
That's so
a lot of youth today don't have their grandparents anymore.
No, the road is waxed, so don't slip on it, whatever you do.
you know, that's another reason why you need an elder in your corner. The jokes that you get from from our Black and brown community of people who are, I would say, 60 and above is just amazing, right?
Yep.
Duke took his headphones off. I think I must be talking too loud. That's the Aries in me. Sorry, Duke. You lucky I can't sing. I would be breaking out into songs during the shows. Okay, so today we do have quite a few different topics. We've talked about preservation. We talked about sustainability
and landmarking.
And landmarking. So shouldn't have any questions there. There's a quiz at the end of the show to make sure you're paying attention.
I got to take a quiz this year.
I'm not talking about you. Oh, you do? You're taking a quiz?
I have to take a quiz on the healthy aspect and the safety aspect in construction. So.
Really?
Yeah, health and safety. If I fail that test, you can't rely on him. He doesn't know. Health and safety, he doesn't know.
How often do you have to take
every year?
And that's to keep a certification that you have.
You get a certification, and this way you can go try to get another type of licensing.
Really? So you know what's new? My small business, MyHungryWorld, I'm a registered agent with the state, so I form businesses. But one of my pet projects now is trying to get as many Black, brown, woman-owned businesses to commit to minority certification.
Right.
And I have a couple of clients who are construction companies.
Oh, very good.
Right. And one of the things that I'm super excited, I operate with NDAs, so you won't hear me say any names. I have a construction company client that has been in operation since 2017. They have operated fully as a subcontractor on all of their projects where the people love them.
Yeah. But they should be a contractor with the license to do what it is that they do excellent.
And they have all their licenses, but there's a difference. And I'm finding a lot of people really don't know this, but there's about 11,000 minority certified businesses, right? And so it's one thing. I woke up this morning, I am a brown woman. I am a minority owned business. Mm-hmm. But does the city or state know that? No, they don't. And so how do you prove that you're a minority owned business? You become certified. There's a rigorous application process. New York State, New York City has that process.
Yep.
My construction client, what we're excited about is that he clearly already works on a lot of minority projects, right?
Yeah,
and what people don't understand
is
there's
so many.
Well, millions, billions of dollars. So
me.
There's $240 billion that comes into New York State each year. You can't compete for any of that money if you're not minority certified first.
Right.
But people don't understand it's Black and brown owned businesses where 51% or higher is either a Black or brown male or a woman. And the application does actually say your sex at birth, right? That's the first thing to understand. It still does say that. And when it comes to women, it is women of all nationalities that can receive this certification. So you can be a brown woman, you can be someone of Indian descent, Asian descent, any kind of woman can apply for the certification if that woman is a 51% owner. And one of the things that I was surprised to learn about over the years under our current administration, which is ending very shortly under Mayor Eric Adams, is that prior to him, less than 5% of those dollars and cents were actually going to Black and brown businesses.
Yep.
Predominantly white women were the larger recipient of those monies.
There are a lot of white women contractors, subcontractors in the field. So.
Yes. And then there are a lot of white couples where the wife, as opposed to the husband, is the 51% owner of that building, of that business. Earlier this summer, or maybe it was last summer, I can't remember, I worked on a project with the city under a minority certified business, which was owned by a white woman. And so after spending about 2 years doing a lot of research of why it makes sense, how to do things, how to get things expedited, I now am in the certification process myself for MyHungryWorld, along with about 11 of my clients. And here's the idea. My belief and understanding is that anytime the city or the state agency does business with someone and they spend a greater amount than $600, it has to be a minority certified business, right? So you can't compete for that. And then contracts, there is I don't know if it's a bill or a law, but there is a legal binding thing that says all these corporations that have contracts, I think it's 30% of those contracts that come in have to be allocated to have minority certified businesses.
And this is only for the allocation that was given by the state.
Right.
For certified businesses.
Right.
You can be outside the certified business and make money too.
Yes.
So that's an easier, well, not easier.
Well, not easier,
more,
but additional.
Secure.
Yeah. Well, so two things there. That's a good point that you bring up, right? So first of all, there's plenty of contracts, plenty of grants, plenty of loans you can apply for as a small business in New York without being minority certified. But, and I say but, there is a certain part of that pie in addition that you can have access to if you're certified.
Yep.
Now, there are CDFIs and New York City and state agencies that provide assistance with minority certification for free. MyHungryWorld is not one of those. So there is a fee, right?
Well, these things are blinding to some construction workers and contractors, if at all that they are not put in front of the paper, or like I say on TV, they got the easy way to come from his cell phone to the computer. The easy way is almost gone now. So the issue is to get them to certify and make it easier for their company. But if you do not have that certification and you're a construction worker, you always find it very difficult to get in.
Not construction worker, because the minority certification is to the construction company owner, right? You can have anyone. You could have a pink and green person working for you.
The construction worker is out in the field and he's trying, but his company does not have a certification.
Right.
So he's
well, and hopefully then that brings up the argument of employees who are in the union, non-union workers. And I've learned over the years, maybe it's gotten better, that a lot of people will hire undocumented workers. They will hire people who aren't in the union.
You see the Mexicans out there working.
And it's not just Mexicans, but yes, Mexicans work very hard in our community.
Yes, they do.
Contribute. Undocumented workers account for billions of dollars that have come into New York State and other states all around the nation. So, the things that this administration says about majority immigrant workers, they're not necessarily taking jobs from me or you, because some of the jobs that a lot of immigrant workers are doing, a lot of people don't want to do that job.
No.
Right now, I do not have a full-time corporate job. I am penniless, but I'm not going to go get a job cleaning somebody's house. Yep. I'm not going to get a job cleaning up the kitchen or a restaurant. There are some restaurants and stores that I volunteer time in as part of my advocacy. But truth be told, we need these different types of people to do different types of jobs.
Yep.
And let it be clear, right? During the pandemic, we found out that the most educated sector in minorities for doctors during the pandemic were our Nigerian doctors.
Nigerians,
right? And so Nigerians are immigrants. What are we going to do if we get rid of all the immigrants? The next time, I don't care if you're a Democrat, you're an independent, or you're Republican. The next time you go to a hospital or you go to a doctor, pay very close attention to who your nurse is,
Right.
who your doctor is, who is the technician that's putting you in the wheelchair and rolling you around.
Yep.
You'll be very surprised. A lot of these brilliant people are not Americans.
No.
A lot of them are, but a lot of them are not. Right? Okay. So talked about that a little bit. Oh, let me tell you my story about housing. So something that I'm going to talk about in the new year, I haven't shared on a large platform, not in great detail. So back in 2014, this individual from my hometown started stalking me. It's actually the reason that I'm no longer working in corporate America. So imagine you have a job where you're working in Manhattan. You have your annual rate that you get. You have the protections that your job affords you, and someone is stalking you at your place of work.
Okay.
And by stalking, I mean placing telephone calls, sending threats. And this happens for 6 years.
6 years? No.
Yeah, 6
You
years.
have to put an end to that.
Yeah. And what I found is that you begin to question your beliefs, your understandings, my Christianity, because a part of me that's from Brooklyn was like, hey, I believe I know some people that wear particular colors and I can get this person removed from the planet. But, I believe in God. I'm also afraid of jail. They don't have the people's hair there. And so I do not want to go to jail for any extended period of time.
You don't want that.
Yeah. So, I try to do everything legally. So I have spent the last 11 years. I've moved more than 25 times since 2014. And in that time, I've learned a lot about the landlord-tenant relationship and the hardships and struggles that happen in our Kings County court or any landlord-tenant situation in any of the five boroughs.
Has it reached federal level yet?
Well, so that was the problem with the
because
stalking.
It's so many years.
It was all civil. So this person filed 36 civil suits against me in 3 different states. And it's taking me this long to put a battery in my back and be strong enough to speak about it and understand that it's not my fault. So there are some jurisdictions where you can file so many complaints that those complaints become chargeable offenses.
Yeah.
Right?
It's on the complaint. It's off the complaint list. You have to go further than that.
Yes. And so this person is from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And in this region, the person kept filing complaints. They turned into chargeable offenses in 2018. So I've actually been arrested twice. All of the cases at this point in 2025, they all are completed. I won every case that was filed against me with the exception of one that I did not know even existed. And so what happens when someone sues you is that if you don't show up, the person wins by default.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is a chargeable offense, then you end up with charges against you, right? So in 2018, I had to go to Pennsylvania and turn myself in because there was a bench warrant. Yeah, a bench warrant that I didn't know about, right? At this point, I did a lot of therapy. So in the Black and Brown community, before this large kick for mental wellness and understanding, I used my full-time employment, the Good People's Insurance, to talk to a therapist. You can have a therapist and you can have a psychiatrist. And what I understand, the biggest difference, a psychiatrist is someone who's authorized to prescribe drugs to help you, right? I didn't have any drugs. My therapist did want me to have sleep aids. But when you're terrified that someone's after you, you don't want to sleep so deeply that you may not hear them.
Right.
And so in this course of time, a lot of people, when they talk to me, are always like, Donnatella, why are you always trying to help people? Why don't you mind your business? And part of that is because depending on who you are as a person, there have been times when I couldn't help myself because either I didn't qualify for a lot of the city or state benefits because I had too much money, right? So like if you go apply for public assistance or some of these housing, they say, well, you can't make over a certain salary or you can't have assets. You can't, you can't have a 401k and all these things, even though your day-to-day expenses are really challenging.
Yep.
So recently I had to make another big decision that I made once before in 2018 after 37 cases, 11 years, and then all these other things, because I've also learned that during the pandemic, when we had a rent moratorium, a lot of landlords kind of created incentives to have people move into apartments. Because as you remember, we were losing a lot of our residents to COVID.
Right.
And so a lot of landlords understood, let's get bodies into these apartments. Federal government is coming out with something to help us pay the rent, right? And there are so many slumlords in New York City.
That's how you create slumlords. Yeah.
It is people complain that New York is a tenant state where it takes forever to get tenants out of apartments. And I agree. There are a lot of protections afforded here that aren't afforded, let's say, in New Jersey. But a lot of these landlords are despicable, especially a lot of the landlords who are working with vouchers. Regardless if they're coming from Section 8 or City Febs, or maybe it's another mental wellness program. A lot of these landlords possibly are receiving grants and things of that nature. And so recently, I have been also fighting with my previous landlord for about 3.5 years. And so last Monday, about 2 weeks ago, I decided I could not be inside my apartment anymore. And plus, when you're in need of, let's say, legal aid, I am I would say, before I point my finger at people, I try to do things the right way. When I work professionally, I work in tech, and one of the things that I did was QA, quality assurance. There are so many different things happening in New York City that when you look at it, seem to be operating correctly. But if you dissect it, it needs a revamping. So I think a lot of these attorneys, law firms that receive millions and millions of dollars as legal aid to represent people in housing court, I think it should be made to be performative, meaning I'm going to give you several $1 million. You're helping tenants in Kings County court. But guess what? If you are able to help that tenant with something that benefits them, like staying in their apartment, getting another apartment, separating the debt that is owed to the landlord, then you get paid $1, right? If you don't do any of that, you get paid 25 cents. Because what I have seen for the last couple of years over and over again, no matter what that legal aid attorney does, they still get the whole dollar, right? And if you
just for showing up,
just for showing up and doing the paperwork, whether the person gets evicted or not. And one of the law firms that has worked with me throughout this time period, I am extremely, extremely disappointed in what they didn't do for me when I personally have helped over 70 families myself in landlord-tenant court. I mean, part of the get ahead is remembering what your parents told you when you were a kid. And I don't know if all parents say this, but when I was a small kid, my mom says, when you leave the house, you make sure you have on clean underwear, you are dressed appropriate, you mind your mouth, and you be respectful, because the people that you see on the outside, they don't know you from anywhere, and you're representing the family, right? When you go to court, you dress like you have some sense, right? I don't care if you're broke, you have no clothes, you only have one outfit that looks professional. That's what you wear to court. And so it amazed me over the years, every time I went into whether it was civil court, housing court, I dressed professionally because so many people in court, they just come in what they have, sweatpants, sneakers. I've seen people with their hair braided. And when I say braided, I mean like plaits. I've seen people with hair all over their head. And it's the perception and the way that people treat you in court. And so most times, and conjugate your verbs, right? When you're speaking, most times people addressed me like I was an attorney, right? And housing court also has translators.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you think of translators, you think about someone who may be speaking Chinese.
Civil court has translators also.
Right. But you know what translator I think needs to be there that I didn't see? There needs to be translators for people from the Caribbean, who, especially our older community, who speak heavy, heavy patois. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I literally have watched partner attorneys for the landlord speak to both young and senior tenants and not even understand what they're saying, right?
Wow.
And having these people sign things that ultimately waive their rights and stipulations. And so that was heartbreaking, right? So I have a group of seniors that I've helped. I've helped a lot of people that at face value, when you look at them, should be able to argue for themselves, but it's all about life, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was 20 something or 30 something, I didn't know what to do in landlord tenant court. A lot of us learn by education.
Yep.
A lot of us learn by
experience,
walking in the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So
let me tell you, finish?
No, go ahead.
Let me tell you about what's going on in Atlantic Yards.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is they started this project on the Atlantic Yards over by Atlantic and Flatbush in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
That was the administration of who was it? Bloomberg.
Okay.
And it is now today, as of this week or last week, just finally getting off the ground, where it is that they're talking about actual construction and where things going to about be evolved.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about taking away the PC Richards.
It's gone. Oh, but the building still is there.
Yeah. PC Richards, they're going to take that away and build a skyscraper there.
Right on that corner.
Right on that corner. Jimmy's in between Flatbush and Pacific Street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're talking about putting trees on Atlantic Avenue. I was against that. I'm against the skyscraper. And I'm vehemently against not putting a platform over the Atlantic Yards itself in order to get more land to build on.
So when you say Atlantic Yards, I don't know what Atlantic Yards is. Is that where the train is?
The trains are.
Oh, the trains that are open.
They want to put a platform over that entire area and build on. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
But if at all they don't do it, they don't have no other place to build.
The real estate. Right. So right now, with the Barclays being where it is,
yes,
I went to look at an apartment some months ago with a friend, and it is a skyscraper there, and it is Brooklyn Crossing, I think it's what it's called. And on one side of the building, you are facing the city, which is beautiful. And now I understand what Atlantic Yards is. On the other side, you are facing the train tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And
isn't that an ugly sight? It's an ugly sight.
It is unattractive, right? So I think they have, and then Brooklyn Crossing, they have some apartments on the fourth floor, I think it was, with an outside space.
Affordable housing, or is it just regular housing where
so that's a good
under any kind of contract?
Well, that's a good question. So for our listeners, I would say a vast majority of these luxury buildings that wanted tax abatements and discounts, they have what's considered the lottery and affordable housing. And within that, some of these buildings are 80-20, 80% market value, 20%
that also.
affordable housing. There's also 70-30, which I found out. The last building that I lived in was supposed to be 70-30, apparently. Although at one point, a land lawyer told me it was more like closer to 40% affordable housing.
40-60.
Yeah, which is not supposed to be. And affordable housing is different things, right? So you have some people who are gainfully employed, but the average median of the salaries in the area where they're trying to work,
BMI,
right, are a little bit lower. So the apartment might actually be $2,500. They only have to pay $1,700 or $1,800. But then you also have other programs like Section 8.
Yeah,
there are programs for.
They're mixing the population of Brooklyn in a one building aspect where they have a different level of different types of people,
right,
and a retail at the bottom. So
well, some do. The building that you know what, you're right, because the building that I recently moved from, it doesn't have retail, but there is a school at the bottom.
Wow.
And on one side of the building is a parking garage, a valet parking garage. And it is a parking garage from down below hell historically. It is much better now. But what people don't understand is that in that affordable housing, in these different voucher programs, which I think, especially with my situation being what it is now, everyone is entitled to a safe and clean place to live.
Yeah.
My problem is the landlords and ownership who found a way to get around that. So you have some of these luxury buildings coming up now where the minimum salary to live in the building is $100,000 or $150,000. That's their way of trying to get around the less desirable people that they want in the building.
They exclude them, and then they give you affordable housing, and the affordable housing is really not enough. So
yeah, it is. And I watched a young lady on Instagram recently. She was awarded a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in East Harlem. It was $2,700. That's a good price.
Yeah.
Well, you know what she said? She hates Harlem.
Yeah, well,
she doesn't want to live in East Harlem, right?
Can't blame her.
And if I think in my head, I don't know what East Harlem is. I don't go to Harlem often enough. After my previous landlord illegally gave away my 2015 BMW Z4, which I will be talking about. So there's a lot of as they say in the streets, shade that I am throwing, not so subliminally. But I think affordable housing works. What's curious to me is the amount of people who say they have been selected many times for many different apartments, and other people who say, I've been waiting for years.
Yeah.
So I moved out of my apartment completely last Monday. In the course of moving things out over a month ago, I frequently would have breathing issues in my apartment. The building that I resided in has had multiple water main breaks from the 27th floor going down to the sea level, right?
Wow.
Peeling paint, cracked walls, insects, infestation. And as I started moving furniture, you can see the mold. I literally had reported mold in my kitchen once.
And they did not do anything about it.
Well, guess what they did? And I'm a person, a lot of people have displaced anger. And I've learned in the last 11 years how to manage that. A young man came to work in my apartment, barely spoke English. I barely speak Spanish. Thanks to ChatGPT, we were able to communicate. And he pulled up the floors. So some of these buildings have inexpensive wooden floors or wooden-like floors. And when he pulled it up, I was watching how he was servicing the mold. And there is a, I don't see any here. I see like cans of Lysol.
Any asbestos?
No. He had
mold. Right.
He had it might, I don't know, because they never sent a professional person. He had a cleaner, one of those cleaners that sells for like $4.99, and it's not supposed to have a lot of different things.
You gotta watch who you hired, Donnatella.
I didn't hire them. This is from the management ownership of the building.
You have to know.
But here's the thing: I videotaped it. Right? He literally picked up the wooden floors, so then I could see the white underneath exposed, took the wooden pieces out the door. I saw him cut the plastic, and he took this deodorizer cleaner and sprayed it on the stuff. And I was like, what the F is this MF doing? Right? But I realized it's not him. It's whoever he works for.
Right. They trained him to do that.
Then I followed him in the hallway to see where was he taking the wooden pieces from my floor. And I went outside, and they were in a stack. There were more wooden slabs on the other side, and they were filthy.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at him. I used ChatGPT, and I was like, are you bringing wood planks from an existing apartment to put in my apartment without fucking cleaning them first?
Yeah.
And he said, ma'am. And he said, yeah, what we do is we take the wood pieces from other apartments, and then we put them in the other apartment. And I said, first of all, I don't want somebody else's filth, because I've been in other apartments in my previous building where they had tiny insects everywhere, roaches everywhere. And this is a building that was constructed completion in 2019. It's now 2025, right? And so I said, no, that's not going to work. You got to go find some cleaner floors from somewhere else. Why can't I have brand new floors?
Well, they have to get the new flooring from a manufacturer. The manufacturer gives you the floors. He has to peel off the part that covers it and then put it down before he even takes it out the truck.
That's true. But so here's the thing. I am saying that I believe there are a certain amount of discriminatory practices against myself, retaliatory as well, because I was part of a group that formed a tenant association.
There's many tenant associations now.
Yeah.
There's one in Carroll Garden.
Well, no. I'm talking about a tenant association for my building, for that physical address. I reached out to council members, so I might be considered a problematic resident. I also was not paying rent, right? I wasn't paying rent because I didn't have the money anyway, but on top of the fact. And then once they gave away my vehicle while I was gone for several months, taking care of a relative that had colon cancer, I really wasn't about to pay any rent. But the practice within that building was simply take from one apartment, clean up a little bit, and slap it down, right? And so I've got all that video footage, and between now and first quarter of 2026, I'll begin to share that information. But what I did, because I just couldn't take it anymore, one day I was in a shower. So we have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. One bathroom has a standing shower with what they call an infinity drain and glass enclosure. And literally, I promise you, I killed 40 gnats in the shower. So I would take a shower, afraid to open my mouth, that the gnats would fly into my mouth. One weekend, I killed 200, and I think it was 72 insects. Gnats. Yeah, a lot of my Caribbean friends started to tell me, oh, you know what? Buy Windex. If you spray the gnats, they drop right out of the sky. They do, because I was using another product, and I was using it so much and having so many insects that it was burning my throat. And literally the infestation of the insects, the water dripping. There's a light outside of my apartment. If you go to that building right now and you look at the light, it is rusty, right? In the hallway. I literally did not have company inside my physical apartment for 2 years, which means, guess what? I didn't get laid for 2 years because the apartment is so terrible. You don't want to invite someone in because they're going to look at me like, oh my gosh, she's nasty. Why does she have insects? I wasn't even, and you couldn't cook, right? Because the insects would fly into
your food. Yeah.
So New York City, it's not that I didn't want to invite you into my apartment. I could not. And I'm not saying what building it was. Unfortunately, in his 11 years of having someone stalk me, I have moved, like I said, 25 times. This 26th time, I completely moved out of my apartment. I put everything in storage. I have no idea where I'm going. And literally, it's just my good looks, my personality, and the people's hair that is putting a roof over my head every day until I find an apartment, because it's also extremely difficult looking for a place. There's all these new buildings, right? They're super expensive.
Can you live outside of Brooklyn?
Yes, I
Long
can live.
Island.
So in my 25 moves, I did live in Long Island for a
Same
while.
place.
I have a very good friend who I love, but she has me on timeout because sometimes I have bad behavior, right? And I love her so much. Whatever needs to be done to make sure she's happy is fine. I'm a little possessive over my friends, right?
Mhm.
But I stayed in a home that she owned for a little while. One of my lawyers arranged for me to stay in a $1 million home that was in Baldwin Harbor for some months. I met someone who was connected to a celebrity sort who knew someone that modeled for Vera Wang, and they helped me get an apartment for several months in Chinatown or Lower Manhattan. That was crazy because it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I learned something. Oh, I think you have to go, right, Rickie?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you see this, you know, I got to go. Here's somewhere to be. And I think this was great for a Sunday. And this was like better than a therapy session. I didn't have to use my insurance or pay anyone. So we're going to come back sometime soon and continue the conversation. Rickie's got a hot date. He needs to go. Are you, Duke, you going to come on and end it for us? We're having technical difficulty in the background.
Family, thank you for joining us, Community Cuts, live from Brooklyn, New York, straight out of Brooklyn. Brooklyn is home to us. We're anchored here. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your peace. And thank you for your grace. Community Cuts, live from Brooklyn. The BK is in the house. Thank you, Donnatella. And thank you, Rickie James.